One thing that has irked me from Wednesday, I was looking on my account and I saw Colin Cowherd just running his mouth about how, USC Notre Dame shouldn't be playing. And it's like, come on. That is top-notch college football rivalry. That is college football royalty, Notre Dame, USC. But when he admitted that he's not a traditionalist, I thought to myself, well, that explains why he doesn't believe in one of the most amazing college football rivalries in all college football. So it tells me Cowherd is a casual viewer of college football. He doesn't spend every week watching. He only watches 1-2 games a day on Saturday. He doesn't watch like Wake Forest, SMU, for example, or like LSU, Florida, or USC versus Maryland. He obviously doesn't watch or try to keep up with every one of the games for his viewers. And luckily for Fox, they didn't hire him to be a college football commentator, because if they did, he would be disastrous at that job.
Well, I mean, I know I'm not. So I disagree. I mean, I don't know, maybe because I have I have a fond place for him. I've been listening to him since he was on radio a long time ago. He's been one of the few voices for West Coast football out there in a world, especially in the ESPN world, where I first heard of him, where nothing happened west of the Mississippi River, actually. So I have enjoyed listening to him throughout the years. I think on this, I kind of see his point. It'll never happen. I actually wrote an article today about it for Trojans Wire. It's not going to happen. USC and Notre Dame their history is so woven together. There's no other rivalry that has as many All-Americans, Heisman Trophy winners, national championships, first round draft picks, overall draft picks outside of that rivalry. On top of it, it's just up there with. Unfortunately, the USC and Notre Dame, they haven't been on the same page. One's been up, one's been down for decades now. But for years, again, that game was. I mean, how many Heisman trophies has that game decided? How many national championships has that game decided? That game's not going anywhere. Notre Dame is too important to USC, and USC is too important to Notre Dame.
Yeah, shockingly, we've never seen Notre Dame USC have a rematch in a bowl game or for like the playoffs, like how we saw like Florida State, or Florida State Miami, or some of those rivalries. I would love to see USC Notre Dame have a rematch in the postseason. I don't know if that's going to happen in our lifetime, but we'll wait and see.
Oh, it very well could happen this year. I mean, let's say that USC did. Let's say that we're wrong. Let's say that USC has fixed their issues on the defensive line and offensive line. Their defense has gotten better, and their scoring under Miller Moss is strong enough to keep putting up points in that Lincoln Riley machine that just keeps chugging along no matter who they put back at quarterback. Assuming that, it's not out of the realm of possibility that USC could face them again. It's unlikely, I think, but not impossible. I think, I do believe I'm probably a little more positive on the season than most. I am holding back till I see that first game. I've been burned too many times thinking that USC's figured it out to go ahead and start making bold predictions. But right now, just given what we have and me being even a little bit pessimistic about how much the defense can improve. It's not about early in the season. Even though the tougher games are earlier in the season, what I'm worried about is as the season goes on and there's attrition and there's injury, that's happened in the past 2 years to USC. Once you get past that first line of guys, there's not a lot of depth back there, especially on the lines. That same situation may happen again this year, especially on the interior defensive line. That's why when I say 9-3, I'm not discarding any of the games as losses for USC, not even Michigan at Michigan. I'm not saying that's a loss. I'm saying that later in the season, I'm worried about losses because I think we're going to run out of guys up front. I think that's going to be, it's not like USC in the Pac-12 was playing cupcakes, but just the style of play and the pounding that USC is going to take in the Big Ten. I have concerns if they will have the depth along the defensive line, especially in the interior, to have that quality depth piece and that rotation throughout the year, so we don't get very thin at the end of the year.
People just hate on ND for the clicks. Like this, I don't even think Cowherd believes what he's saying in this whole situation. I just think he's doing it for the clicks. He's like, he knows that like ND fans on Twitter, they always like hate watch anything that's trashing on the team, and the rivalry isn't going to go away anytime soon. That's not.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So. Yeah, I think that Colin does say make inflammatory comments from time to time just to shake it up a little bit. I mean, there's no doubt about that, right? I mean, he's done it in the past and he's doing it now. But well, let's be real about this. They're really, think about USC's situation. USC every other year is adding another trip to the Midwest. They already have so they have their conference games. So let's say four of them, let's say they have 4 conference games. They're traveling 4 times to the Midwest every year. By having Notre Dame not in the conference, that means that every other year they'll be traveling out to the Midwest again, making it a 5th trip out to the Midwest. We got to get your Irish into the Big Ten. I don't see a world where USC doesn't play the Irish. I just don't. I don't see that happening. But I wouldn't be totally against. Will, don't get too mad at me. USC kind of holding Notre Dame's feet to the fire, because for a long time, it was really Notre Dame that legitimized, early on. Sorry, I should say a long time. Early on, it was Notre Dame that legitimized USC in those early battles, and how USC kind of came onto the scene in the late 20s and 30s with Howard Jones and Rockne and all those games. But right now, the ACC is a mess for Notre Dame. I know they're not a full member, but the Big Ten, USC is going to have and can strike up some rivalries with some other Big Ten teams, which could cause some friction between administrations, between USC having to travel out there every year. That's the only big issue I have with it. Plus, I was saying that you need to keep Notre Dame and maybe not take that LSU, not take the in the past where we played Alabama or a Texas, right? Texas home and Alabama neutral site. I'm saying USC don't do those games in the future. But, look what it does to USC scheduled alumni then. We'll be playing Notre Dame, and it's great to play Notre Dame, but then we got to play 2 other cupcakes, and we don't get to spice it up at all. Do you know what I mean? I wonder how many years of that will be a tenable situation for USC. What do you see down the road for Notre Dame?
I think Notre Dame will be eventually forced to join the Big Ten in the next 10 years. I mean, I just hate to say it, but with the current climate of college sports, I hate it. Like, I just wish I felt like when Utah first joined the Pac-12, that's when I wanted it. Like, I'm like, this is great. Let's just keep it like this. Let's keep the Big East alive too. That would have been my ultimate happiness. But the way it is now, I think the 2 super conferences are inevitable.
Okay. Yeah, I think that eventually.
So let me ask you this, Tim.
Yeah. Hurry up, because I gotta get rolling.
Okay, sorry. Well, I want to trash on Kelly, but it's okay. What would you like it to be at the end of the year every year? Like Notre Dame USC, because I know Stanford's the ACC team now, so I think the Irish should be able to keep that as a conference game and play whenever they want. Would you like it at the end of the year all the time?
That was one of the things I talked about with the travel schedule and the issue of having an additional game going out to Notre Dame. Tradition is tradition, right? But the schedule has already changed once. SC used to play Notre Dame. I know you know this, but for those of you out there, USC used to play Notre Dame in South Bend in November. However, it was just so damn cold, and guys were literally getting frostbite and sick.
Wherever you go in the Big Ten, though.
Well, let's see. This year we don't play anybody. We don't play anybody back east after, I think, October. So there are no November games, and it may happen. It's probably going to happen to USC eventually. But going back to what I was saying, originally USC said to Notre Dame, "Hey, we want to continue this, but we'll visit you. Tell you what, we'll come out there in October. We're not going to come out there in November because we don't want to come out in the middle of snowstorms." So, and that was changed. So the time was changed. So there is a precedent for the game being changed. And what I proposed earlier was, since the USC has to play these games, maybe they move the game to like a week 0 game when we go to South Bend, when we travel. That way, it spreads out the conference play. So Notre Dame is not right in the middle of conference play. You move it to the beginning, and then maybe you have two home out of conference games, and then you start your conference schedule. I think that could work out. I think the way they have it now, I don't know. I don't speak obviously for anyone at USC, but I can't see how USC will continue again to play 4 road games out in the Big Ten and every other year go out to South Bend. That's making it a 5th game. I just don't think that that's in USC's best interest. I am not for the rivalry ending.
All right. I have to say one thing about LSU. I know there's other callers here. USC had put together a good defensive staff. Like I'm buying in on USC's defense. I think you guys are going to be much better. I think there's some questions about nose tackle, of course. And the offense is going to look different it's going to be different with Caleb. But with LSU's defensive hires, I mean, yeah, the guy at Missouri had a good year last year. But, like, I was looking at the staff, and I was like, who the heck are these guys? So the Trojans should be able to handle LSU's defense for sure and come out with a win. I wouldn't be scared if I was you going into that game.
All right, it's callers. No more phone calls. We're past 7. We're at 7:00, so we're not taking any more phone calls. As far as that, yeah, USC is lucky in that. Yes, so USC has a completely new defensive coaching staff. Was going to take some, I don't care how well he did at UCLA last year. It's still that onboarding situation they're going to have at USC. But USC's lucky to like you said, LSU's bringing on their defensive staff. You have a situation in Michigan where they're bringing almost on whole new coaching staff at Michigan. So there are going to be opportunities, for USC to take advantage of the fact that there are going to be some new staffs out there. So I'm really happy. People got so concentrated on the nose tackle situation at USC, they forgot about all the players USC brought in. And it also the biggest difference will be with the coaching staff and a new defensive coordinator. But thanks, Will. Appreciate you calling as always. I hope you call back next week.